Welcome back to the channel. I'm Scott DIY, and this is how you can make a high quality gate that is cheap, quick to make and easy enough for any DIYer to tackle. This video is all about building a 6-foot side gate. I've built loads of these gates and I finally feel like I've got to the point where I know what materials to use and what process is the quickest, easiest and cheapest. So whether you're a DIYer, you're in the trade, or just somebody who needs a side gate because the one you've got is either rotten or you just don't have one at all, this video is perfect for you because I'm going to show you everything. The materials, the process and the tools. So let's get into it. So let's have a quick look at the materials that we're going to be using. We've got 2x4 treated timber. Right, so the measurements of the gate, 84.5 centimeters wide. And to remember that, 84.5 centimeters, there we go. I'm going to write that on one of the pieces of timber because we don't want to be forgetting that measurement. And now we need to make sure each one of these pieces are 84.5 long. 84.5 is the first measurement right there. Which one's the shop cut side? This one. So we'll get rid of that side. And then we're just going to cut these ends off. Safety glasses on. And I'm using this speed square to sit my circular saw up against so that I always get a perfectly 90 cut. I can do it by hand, but this kind of takes the guesswork out. There we go. There's 1, 2, 3. So now we need to decide how far apart these are going to be, because these are the structural parts of the gate. The framework, which take the hinges. This one's going to have a hinge and this one's going to have a hinge. Right, so check this out. This is a piece of batten. It's treated, and that's going to be going down the side of the gate post, and it's going to be where the gate hits against, right? Pretty sure this is called a jamb, a door jamb. But without getting too complicated, I'm going to be using this because I know that it's straight. I'm going to put it on top of my workstation. This workstation is about 1.58 meters long. Unfortunately, this particular one isn't square. Otherwise, I could use that as a guide, but I'm going to use this as a guide instead. So I'm going to mark on the ends of each one of these. Let's call them rails. And I'm going to just mark on. That's the width of this side of these rails, and because I want to make them 90, I'm going to put that on the other side as well. Not only that, I can use this to push this timber in so that I know that they're all in line and all square. Now I can come round to the other side and I can see that that one's on the line, but this one isn't. So we're just going to move that end in. And there we are. We're probably a couple of mil moved in, and now I know that they are perfectly aligned. The next thing to do is to work out where the center is, so I can put this right in the middle. Center of this piece of timber from the lines that we drew on earlier. So if I put that on there and bring it across, I'm looking for 78.75, which is right there. Typical, my phone, this is typical. The pencils run out. I'm gonna have to go get another one from the van. Can I make this mark whilst I'm here? No, of course not. Luckily I've got another one, and this one's sharp as well. There we go, there's bang on center. So we've got one of them, obviously we're gonna need another. So here's the other, also cut to the same size. And all we're gonna do is run a line through this. Right, so we've got our guides, and I'm going to put these on the edges of the workbench. But there's one thing left to do. We need to mark the center of this center timber here. 4.75. Right, so now we have our guides, we now have center lines as well, so we can line up the center of this timber with the line that we know is center of our guide rail, like that. Move that along to there. The next bit, I'm going to put a couple of screws, small screws, just to keep these guides in place. I want to make sure that they're all aligned at all times. We don't want these moving as we're putting the tongue and groove on. Now I'm just going to do the same again on the other side. Perfectly aligned. This is the quick tip for making a gate. So putting these cross braces in. I see a lot of people doing their cross braces on, so one coming into a center like that and then mirroring it across the same like that. I don't think that's the right way of doing it. I don't know why people do it that way. You've got to have your cross braces heading up towards the lock side and away from the hinges. So if we've got a hinge there and we've got a hinge there, that cross brace needs to be there and that cross brace needs to be there, because what we don't want the gate doing is slanting like that. We don't want it falling, and the only way to do that is to make sure that it's got cross braces holding up the piece of wood so it can't slant down. I've got to mark these out, and the way that I do that is I simply just place it on top of the timber, get my pencil, hold it down on top, and then I mark underneath straight along that line, and that then gives me a perfect line to cut to. So I'm just going to put a number 1 on there and a number 1 on there, just so I know that that cross brace goes to that there. We'll get another piece of timber and we'll do exactly the same again. Perfect. Right, so now we just need to cut those marks that we've just made with the circular saw, and we want to make sure we're pretty accurate. It's quite important that you get this cut accurate. So I've gone along the line, but there's maybe like a mil on there, maybe half a mil. I just hope that my pencil lines were bang on, otherwise we're going to have a tight fit. You can always plane it or sand it though. So here we have it. I haven't seen if it fits yet, but it's nice clean cuts. If I need to sand maybe a mil off, might need a mil off. But let's cut the other one. One thing to think about when you are cutting these is you do really want a level bed to be cutting, and you want to make sure that when you are cutting through with a circular saw that the bed of the circular saw is really sat flat, because that's going to give you a 90 cut. If your cut isn't 90 and one side is higher than the other, it won't fit, you'll have gaps and it won't look very good. So we've got our cuts. This one goes at the top and this should fit in here without too much difficulty. There we go. That is a real tight snug fit. That's number 1. Fingers crossed for number 2. We have measured these, they're perfect. So we've got our gate structure. All we now need to do is put some screws into this to hold it all together. So I'm going to put some 100mm screws into these joints just to hold them all together. There's one. Now I'm just going to finish up with these 70mm screws on the thinner part. Right, so now we have a pretty solid gate structure. The next part is to add our tongue and groove. So I've gone for this. This is tongue and groove. I think it's about 110mm. And we're just going to lie it on the face of our gate like that. And then we're going to put the next one on. We're going to lie them all across, make sure that they're all leveled up, see if we need to just scooch these over a little bit to just make sure that they're in place. and then we're good to go. We're going to put some lines on. We're going to cut the ends off so they're perfectly straight, and we're going to use the nailer to hold them all in place. If you don't have a nailer, you can literally just use panel pins and a hammer. It takes a bit longer, same job. Right, so we're in a situation where these tongue and groove boards are wider than the actual gate. So this is the gate here, from that side to that side there. So we need to remove, we could push all of these along so that edge aligns with that one, but I don't like leaving a lap like that. So I'm going to cut off about 30 mil all the way down that board, and then I'm going to align this side up, work out what the difference is on this side, and then remove some material, maybe another 30 mil off there as well, because I also don't want that groove right there on the gate. I just think that having those really square edges at the sides make it look a little bit more professional. The material I'm going to cut is quite thin, it's 22 mil, so you can move the bed of the circular saw up and down, and this is going to give us a better cut, and it means I'm not going to cut all the way through into my workbench as well. So we'll just make sure that we've got enough. So this is why you clean your saw after, so you don't get sawdust stuck in it. There we go. So I've set the bed now. We're going to run all the way down it. Unfortunately, I don't have my clamps with me, so I'm just going to have to do it by eye. You can use a track saw for this, that would be a lot better, but I don't know. I feel like I can get through it with this. Right, so before we start putting the slats on, this is a really important part that we must get right. So the gate is going to be hung from this side here, and the lock is going to go on this side. That's because these braces are pointing upwards. So that means that on our gate for this project, the left-hand side of this gate here is going to be the front-facing left-hand side of the gate. So what I need to do is I need to arrange my boards accordingly. So if that's going to be the front, that's going to sit on there like that. I'm going to work my way backwards until we get to here, and I'm going to cut the same one just like we did here. Right, okay, cool. So we know this measurement across the front of the gate needs to be the same as the structure on the other side. So we're looking for 84. So we're going to measure all the way down. So we get the tape measure on there. 84.5 centimeters is exactly the same size as the structure. 84.5. 84.5. Fantastic. So now we need to cut this just like we did with the other one. So now we just need to check that the boards do actually line up with the edge of the framework underneath, and as you can see here, they do. Yeah, that's good. That needs pushing in a bit, but that'll be fine when I've nailed it in place. So now we've got the fascia for our gate. We've got to nail it in place. Now the ends might look a little bit crooked. That's fine, because these boards are 1.9 meters long and I'm making a 1.8 meter high gate. So I need to take off 100mm total on these boards, which means I can take off 50mm from each side, and that's going to help me make this gate and all the edges look absolutely perfect, and we're going to get it absolutely 90 degrees as well. So let's do it. Just giving these boards a mil space in between them, because when they expand and contract, these are very dry, but when they can expand and contract, you don't want them splitting or bowing. We want to set the overall length. So with here at the bottom we've got 21, and here at the bottom we've got 21. So these are accurate. So this is bang in the middle right now, and I want to cut off 50mm from both sides if I want to make it 180. But I think I'm going to have it a little bit more than 1.8 meters. I'm going to have it at 185. So I only need to take off 25mm from each side. One thing you can't forget to do is snack time. Helps you think more clearly. Helps me think more clearly. We've had a bit of a tidy up, and the next thing that's going to go onto the gate are these black metal hinges. So these are, I think these are large hinges. I don't know the brand, but all we're going to do is we're going to screw them in place before I take it over. Ethan. There we go. Right, first things first, we need to see if it fits in between the gap. Some would say that that is a perfect fit. The gate is on, it's hung. We've got the door jamb to stop it going too far. All we need to do now is put the lock and the latch on, which I'm just going to get on with because it looks like the weather might turn. And there we have it, guys. That is a very quick and simple side gate for a house. This one is just over 6 foot, like I've said in the video. It's got a nice galvanized latch and lock on the other side, and it really doesn't take long to make. Obviously, if you have the right tools, it can be even quicker. I hope you've really enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed it or found it useful, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm Scott DIY, and I'll see you on the next one.